I want to go back to the crisis for the coalition. With me is Simon Benson. He's political analyst at the Australian, adjunct professor at the University of Canberra. Simon, where are things at? It looks like the days are numbered for Sussan Ley right now.
Look, it does. It seems as though she's survived today. I just got word out of the party room that there was nothing to report from there today, but I guess the question is, will she survive the week? That's the question that remains. It would seem unlikely that she will survive past this week, but look, who knows? At the moment, the Liberal Party are like a herd of gazelles on the political savannah, dashing this way, dashing that way. Who knows what's going to happen?
It's a really good point. It's very hard to be definitive on anything. I totally agree with you on that, because some, in the Conservative faction, aren't being definitive themselves, Simon, when it comes to the numbers. I guess they're all rattled, and when people are rattled, you don't know which way they're going to go.
Look, that's right. And Sussan Ley is not going to be... she's not going to give up the job. They'll have to blast her out of there. That's pretty much clear. And then you've got to ask the question: does Angus Taylor want to be seen to be doing that? Look, I think if he delays much longer, the question will be answered for him, because, as you know, anyone can call a spill in the party room. They could call a special meeting before the end of this week, and it's on, and he would have to put his hand up. So that decision may be made for him. I think his preference would be to quietly tap her on the shoulder. But I can't see that happening. And going back to other discussions you and I have had, the polls out yesterday, I mean, that has really sharpened the minds. It is Absolutely. Hard to find anyone in that party room that sees Sussan Ley's leadership as being viable.
There's an interesting thing, you look at the number and look at that, One Nation 27, and I know... I would just caution any suggestion that number is built on quicksand. I know the history of One Nation. I know the history of Pauline Hanson, but there are a few things different right now that I would caution against saying that is not going to hold up. One of them is that Barnaby Joyce he's got his critics. He's a maverick. We've covered him for over 20 years in the parliament. I've seen him up close and seen exactly what he is. But what I do know is he is a very potent politician, Simon, and you underestimate him, I think, at your peril. That's the fundamental thing that I think has changed.
Look, I agree, and I just saw him up close and personal outside your studio a few minutes ago talking about this very question, about whether those polling numbers can be converted into votes. And of course, you and I have discussed this before. It was a question that was always asked about Nigel Farage and Reform UK, that like One Nation overperforms in polls, underperforms at elections. The question is, I guess, that you don't really know if those numbers held up at an election. The compulsory preferential system would kick into gear and prevent One Nation from getting a lot of seats. I mean, they would win some seats, there's no doubt about it. But when you see the second preference flow, it's very small going to One Nation. So, it's hard to see them translating that number into corresponding number of seats. It wouldn't happen. So I think, but as you say, a primary vote of 27, even if it is overperforming in polls, and that would come back at an election. I mean, the last election, it was at 6%. So let's pick a figure halfway between. Even that is catastrophic for the Liberal Party.
Simon Benson, great to see you as always. Thank you very much for that.